flames of the blazing hellfire.
That's almost funny. Allah is telling Muhammad that he won't be asked about hell. Why then do you suppose hell is the Quran's single most repeated subject?
Quran 2, verse 120. Never will the Jews or the Christians be satisfied with you unless you follow their form of religion. Say, the guidance of Allah is guidance. Those to whom we have given the book read it as it ought to be read.
The Quran cannot be true and confirm the Bible as Allah claims if Judeo-Christianity is an errant form of religion. And at this point, the Quran wasn't remotely complete. It wasn't even written down. Allah was therefore saying that people were doing something that simply could not be done. That would make him a liar. What's more, Allah was speaking to an illiterate man, one incapable of reading.
These
Jews
believe in it, and whoever disbelieves it are losers. Children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I,
Allah,
preferred you to all others and made you excel the nations.
Muhammad was in a pickle. Without the Jews being Yahweh's chosen people, the prophets and scriptures upon which he based Islam lost their relevancy. If they were relevant, so was Islam. Like so much of the Quran, this surah provides no intelligent transition between subjects. It has rambled on about God's inability to provide a sign, to telling us that Muhammad was a warner. It flip-flops from telling him not to follow the religion of the Jews to calling the Jews God's chosen people. Then after condemning Christ's mission and crucifying Muhammad's credibility in the process, it moves to a revisionist account of the biblical patriarch Abraham.
Quran 2, verse 124. And remember when Abraham's Lord tried him with certain commands, which he fulfilled. He said, I will make you an imam.
That's an Islamic leader.
To the nations. He pleaded, and also imams from my offspring. He answered, but my promise does not include evildoers.
The nature of the trials or commands which Abraham allegedly fulfilled were not listed. Considering that the passage of these trials made Abraham the father of Islam, the imam of nations, the omission was serious. Not surprisingly, it sent the Muslim sages scurrying for answers. Sadly, what we just revealed was the best they could do. The noble Quran translators even include this hadith.
Bukhari. I heard the Prophet saying, 5 practices are characteristic of the fitrah.
That would be the religion of Abraham.
Circumcision, shaving the pubic hair, cutting the mustaches short, clipping the nails, and depilating the hair of the armpits.
This religion can't be fixed. It needs to be discarded. Every biblical story quoted in the Quran was designed to make Muhammad's unprophet-like behavior seem religious, or to make Islamic rituals seem sane. The next verse was no exception.
Quran 2, verse 125. Remember when we made the house a place of assembly for men, and a place of safety, and the place Abraham stood to pray, and we covenanted with Abraham and Ishmael that they should sanctify my house for those who circumambulate it, use it as a retreat, bow down, prostrating themselves. Quran 2, verse 126. And remember.
This is an odd command. What are they remembering this from? The Bible doesn't say anything remotely like this, and there are no other scriptures referring to Abraham.
Abraham said, My Lord, make this a city of peace, and feed its people with fruits, such of them as believe in Allah and the last day.
Even this is odd. Muhammad was verbally attacked during the entire time he preached in Mecca. As a result, he attacked Mecca with a large army at the end of his career, putting him in direct opposition to the patriarch's supposed prophecy.
He said, As for those who reject, indulge them. Soon I will compel them to the doom of the torment of hell fire and evil destruction.
To compel is to induce or coerce. Why would God want to act like Satan and coerce someone into hell?
Quran 2, verse 127. Remember, Abraham and Ishmael raised the foundations of the house. Our Lord, accept this service from us.
Well, I realized that no one was writing this stuff down, and that a short pencil is more effective than a long memory. God and His prophet ought to be able to do better. Just 2 verses earlier, Allah said that He made the house. So next we learn,
Our Lord, make of us Muslims submissive to your will, and of our offspring a nation of Muslims bowing to you, and show us our place for the celebration of rites.
Abraham died 2,600 years before the first Muslim was conned into Islam. In fact, the Arabic word for Muslim wouldn't even be coined for another 26 centuries. Yet a nation of Muslims is how Muhammad viewed the world. The Prophet saw our planet in two pieces, the nation of Islam, called Dar-us-Islam, and lands yet to submit, the house of war, called Dar-us-Harb. And while Islam has been at war with itself for all of its 13 centuries, it will continue to fight the house of war until we capitulate. Many in the Western media and most politicians claim that the war on terrorism is like any other because the terrorists come from many nations. Now you know the truth. The terrorist represents one nation, the nation of Islam.
Quran 2, verse 129. Our Lord, raise up in their midst a messenger from among them, who shall recite to them your revelations, and instruct them in your book, and in wisdom, and make them grow.
By the time the second surah was revealed, Muhammad had fled Mecca for the safety of Medina. Now in close proximity to the Jews, he had a problem. They were literate, and as a result, they were harder to fool. The Jews undoubtedly told Muhammad that he couldn't be God's final messenger because that role belonged to the Messiah. Moreover, there were hundreds of specific prophecies regarding the Messiah, none of which he met. So what do you suppose the wannabe prophet did? Right, he made one up. But for it to be believable, he had to revise Abraham first.
Quran 2, verse 130. He who turns away from the religion of Abraham makes himself a fool with folly.
Abraham did not have a religion. He had a relationship. There were no rituals, rites, prostrations, pilgrimages, or prescribed prayers. In fact, the word religion doesn't exist in the Torah. It can't be found even once in all of the Old Covenant.
Quran 2, verse 131. When his Lord said to him, Be a Muslim, he said, I submit,
Islam,
to the Lord of the worlds.
Likewise, you won't find the words Muslim, submit, or Islam. The revisionist Abraham said,
Our Lord, make us submissive,
which means Islam,
to you, and make of our seed a nation
of Muslims,
and show us our ways of worship.
If Abraham received scrolls from Allah and performed the Islamic rituals, he could not have asked, Show me the ways of worship.
Only you are relenting, our Lord. Raise up in their midst a messenger.
You can almost hear Muhammad cry, I'm the man! Yeshua had been demoted and Abraham promoted, so that Abe could vouch for the credentials of Muhammad and thereby silence the prophet's critics. Muhammad believes that Allah chose Islam for Abraham and his sons, especially Yaqub, from whom all Jews are descended.
Quran 2, verse 132. And this was the legacy that Abraham left to his sons by Yaqub. O my sons, Allah has chosen the faith for you, the true religion. Then die not, except in the faith of Islam, as Muslims. He said to his sons, What will you worship after me? They said, We will worship your Ilah, God, the Ilah, or God, of your fathers, of Abraham, Ishmael, and Isaac, the one Ilah. To him we submit in Islam.
Why do you suppose Yahweh trifled with Judaism and Christianity if Abe were a Muslim? And could Abraham have referred to God as Allah if the name wouldn't be invented for more than 20 centuries? Even then, it was the proper name of a pagan rock idol in Arabia, not Israel. How do you suppose Yahweh's name could have been repeated 7,000 times in the Bible if his name were really Allah? And there is no way to weasel out of this predicament. Muslims scream that Allah is simply the Arabic word for God. Yet that assertion is in direct conflict with the Quran. In this verse, the Arabic word for God, capitalized G, is Ilah. It was used 3 times. All right, now that we've turned Jews into Muslims, it's time to condemn them.
Quran 2, verse 134. Those